Hey everyone, it's Flip Flip Shift, and today I'm bringing you a tool that can help bring your deck building to the next level. This is a really easy to use program that can tell you how likely you are to open well or poorly with your current deck list. Now, many of you are likely familiar with the incredibly helpful yugioh.party, but it's limited. If you have like multiple different acceptable hand combinations, there's no good way to deal with that. So I wanted to create a tool that could help you calculate these kinds of things while also taking cards like prosperity, extravagance, and so on into account. To access it, begin by clicking the GitHub link in the description, and that'll get you to this page over here. Now, from here, we're going to open up this link in a new window and clear all the text we see. This is where we're actually going to run the program. Now we're going to go back to the GitHub page, click yugioh.party, and click raw. This is the code. We're going to copy all this and paste it into our online compiler. Now here we have a sample deck list and some sample hands, but we're going to do one together, so let's clear all this out. So we'll clear everything in input cards here, minding the quotations, and we'll clear everything in input possibilities here. So the deck that we're going to be using as our demo is a bad version of Crystal Beast Tri-Brigade, but it'll be good for showing off everything this program can do. So this is the deck list, and below we have the list of either like the different ways to combo, or in this case, the list of acceptable hands. And I want to find the likelihood that I open at least one of these good hands. So notice here that we have some things that are like, oh, Foolish Burial plus any Tri-Brigade, or Fractal plus any like Beast, Winged Beast, or Beast Warrior card. And these are things that we can actually deal with the program. We can also deal with the fact that Prosperity can like see the next 6 cards on top of the deck. So let's calculate this. All right. So we're going to begin by inputting the relevant cards, so like the cards that we care about from this combo list. And when we do so, we need to make sure that we don't have any spaces in our card name, so we'll have to shrink them. Before we do that, actually, we'll have to check the deck and the hand size. So in this case, our deck size is 40, so 40 is good. And our hand size is 5. We're going to be drawing 5 cards. All right, now let's input our cards. So we have 3 copies of Sapphire Pegasus. The way we'll denote that is Peg space 3. Now, Shield Bearer of the Noble Knights is not in our combo list, but it can search Pegasus and it can search Dinotherium, and those are both in our combo lists. So we're going to write in 3 copies of Shield Bearer. We have 1 copy of Dinotherium. Crystal Beast Rainbow Dragon is not relevant, so it's relevant in the deck, of course, but it's not in our combo sheet, so we're going to omit it. We do care about Rainbow Dark Dragon because it's like a Garnet. So there are some hands here where we want to make sure we don't see it. So we have 1 copy of Rainbow Dark Dragon. We have 1 copy of Foolish Burial. Now Tenki can only search Fractal in this build, so we'll just write this as 4 copies of Fractal. If Tenki could search other stuff as well, we list it separately. But in this case, we're just going to write 4 copies of Fractal. We have 3 copies of Kit. We have 3 copies of Nerval. We have 2 copies of Kuros, 1 copy of Revolt, 2 copies of Fusion Destiny. We don't care about the bricks. And then we have 10 hand traps. But one of them is treated a bit differently because it's a winged beast, so it'll classify as a wild. So we'll say there's 1 crow and 9 other hand traps. The only remaining card here that is relevant but not on the combo sheet is Pot of Prosperity. So we have 2 copies of Pot of Prosperity. So all the cards listed up here, Prosperity, Desires, Upstart, Extravagance, and Duality, are all coded in. Just make sure that you spell it the same way you see it over here. And the restrictions are built in as well. So for example, the program knows that if you have like Prosperity and Desires, you have to pick one because Prosperity doesn't let you draw on the same turn. It knows that if you use Extravagance, it has to be your first action because it's the start of main. It knows that like Desires is hard once per turn, although now it's of course limited to 1 copy anyway, but these things are all built in. If you want to have more complicated draw effects, like let's say Magician's Souls, Or if you have like an engine that draws mid-combo, like Fluffles, you'll have to use the advanced calculator, which I'll talk a little bit about at the end. So now let's input our different ways to combo, or in this case, our good hands. So the way we do it is as follows. The first hand is we want Fractal and Pegasus. So we'll write frac, spelled the same as up here, space, and in all capital letters, and then Pegasus. The capitals do matter here. And the next one is Foolish, all caps and Pegasus, Kit and Kuros, Nerval and Kuros, and then Foolish and any Tri-Brigade. So for now, we'll just write in Tri-Brigade. Later, we'll indicate which of these are Tri-Brigades, which of these are wilds, and so on. So we can also have Fractal and any wild. We have Fractal and Fusion Destiny. Fractal and any two hand traps. So the way that we'll write two or more hand traps is as follows. 2 space plus space hand traps. 2 or more hand traps. The syntax has to look exactly like this. We could have also written this as like 1 plus Fractal and 2 plus hand traps. In fact, all of these could have been written with 1 plus. But because that's like the most common thing, you can just omit it and it'll understand that as 1 or more. So Fractal and 2 plus hand traps means 1 or more Fractal and 2 or more hand traps. We have Nerval and Dinotherium. We have Kit and Dinotherium. We have any Tri-Brigade and Pegasus, and no Rainbow Dark. So above we had 2 plus hand traps for 2 or more hand traps. For exactly 0 Rainbow Dark, we'll write that as 0 equals Rainbow Dark Dragon. Let's say that we were running 2 Rainbow Dark Dragon, in which case it was okay if we see 1. We would then write 1 minus Rainbow Dark Dragon, 1 or fewer Rainbow Dark Dragon. In this case, though, we have to see exactly 0. The next possibility is Fusion Destiny and Pegasus and no Rainbow Dark Dragon. And finally, Pegasus and Dinotherium and any wild and Revolt. So now before we figure out how likely this hand is, we have to indicate what's a Tri-Brigade and what's a wild. And also some of the cards that these things can search. So Pegasus is a wild, it's a beast. Shield Bearer can search Pegasus. So anytime we see a shield, we can substitute for Pegasus. It can also search Dinotherium. And when it searches these things, it then becomes a wild. Dinotherium is a beast. Foolish can pitch Nerval, or Kit, which pitches Nerval, and then become a Tri-Brigade or a wild. Fractal is a Tri-Brigade and a wild. Kit's a Tri-Brigade and a wild. Nerval is a Tri-Brigade and a wild, and so is Kuros. Crow is a wild, and it's also a hand trap. And now we are ready to calculate. So before we calculate, we have to indicate how many test hands it's going to look at. So I usually try to do 100 first to make sure it runs properly. And yeah, it ran pretty fast. So, it said I have to check one of the formatting here. Fusion Destiny and, oh yeah, I have to write 0 equals Rainbow Dark Dragon. Let's try that again. Yeah, 87%. So that was pretty fast. So let's put more trials. Let's try 10,000. And yep, on 10,000 trials, it succeeded on 84.94% of all test hands. So a roughly 85% consistency here. And that's it for my tutorial on the basic calculator. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments below. I'll also link a Discord where you can ask questions. But for now, I wanted to introduce you to the advanced calculator, which we'll talk a little bit more about in the next video series. In this one, we don't just describe the hand we want, we describe the possible game states we want to get to. So in this Fluffle list, for instance, I want to figure out how often I land on Appaloosa and Totally Awesome. So I'll describe the card effects, describe the possible game states I want to get to. So in this case, Totally Awesome in the Monster Zone and Appaloosa in the Monster Zone. And then say, okay, run 50 test hands. And the output I get is more than just the probability, 84%. It actually tells me how it was able to solve each of those 42 test hands. So not only can I verify that I entered the effects properly, I can also learn new combo lines for my deck that I didn't even know existed. It also has Small World fully coded in, along with most TCG cards and their corresponding characteristics. And if you have any cards that aren't on this list, they're very easy to input yourself. This code is all public, and I'll be posting a link to it in the description below. And on my Discord server, you can find some partial guides, but a more detailed guide is coming to this channel soon, probably in the form of a video series. So be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell, and I'll see you there.